Scott Talley coming to you live from the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been on vacation, and we're fortunate this morning to have Gary Warstler with us. Gary had a long drive in this morning from Conroe, Texas. Had to get his passport stamped, right?
Yes, sir.
And Gary has a company called Guaranteed Rate Affinity. So we're going to talk a little bit about the mortgage business. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks
I appreciate
for coming in
being
this
here.
morning so early. Tell us a little bit about Guaranteed Rate and how long you've been in business and that type of thing.
Guaranteed Rate's one of the largest lenders in the country. We're owned by a franchise called Realogy, which owns Coldwell Banker, Century 21, ERA, several other real estate franchise. And I have been with them for 18 years.
Wow. And they're in how many states around the country?
All 50.
All 50, wow.
Yes, sir.
So they got a little pull.
They do. They absolutely do.
So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple different type of loans. But before we do that, what's changed in the industry from your perspective over the last 5 or 8, 10 years?
Well, the industry is like a cycle. Getting a loan gets easier and easier until they blow up. And then the government cracks down, makes it harder and harder. We're in that phase right now where there's a lot of paperwork to be done. There's a lot of X's, T's, I's to be dotted, just to make sure that they're done right and you're not putting anybody in a bad spot right now.
Yeah, that's been a result of the mortgage crisis a few years ago,
Absolutely.
Right? But it's not so hard if you dot all those I's and cross those T's. It's not like money's not available.
Absolutely. Money's available, and right now the rates are the lowest they've been in 3 years.
Let's talk about, really, I didn't realize that. So
Absolutely.
People are refinancing now?
They are.
Back in the refinance market?
30-year fixed rates right now are below 4%.
Wow.
So 3.875. So
Wow.
yeah, so a lot of people are refinancing again.
First-time home buyers. Let's talk to people who thinking maybe it's time for them to move out of the apartment, townhome they're renting and purchase a home. It's still the American dream. It's still one of the best investments anybody can make.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of programs out there for first-time home buyers. The first one you'll see is there's a 3% down now conventional program, where if you're a first-time home buyer, that 3% can actually be a gift from your family members.
Oh, wow.
We also have a program called T-Check, which is ran by the state of Texas, where the state of Texas will give the buyers their down payment up to 4%.
Wow.
So if we do the numbers right, we get some help from the sellers. There's no cost for the buyers to get into a house.
Wow, fantastic. So if you're thinking about buying a home out there, not sure if you can afford it, it's at least worth taking a look.
Absolutely.
And who qualifies for those type of programs besides first-time home buyers?
The T-Shack program is a first-time home buyer program, period. There's no way around that. But what's neat about that is if you're a veteran, a fireman, a policeman, or a nurse, not only do they give you your down payment, they give you a tax credit for first 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, up to $2,000 every year to write off on your taxes. But everybody qualifies for a first-time home buyer program. As long as you have a credit score of 620, you're good to go.
Good to go. Wow. So once that happens, once you determine you found a home, and obviously first you're going to go find out what you can afford.
Absolutely.
And that's a
your first
mistake
step.
a lot of people make. They start going looking and have the champagne.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps where you got to qualify first before you buy the house. So that's what I do.
Talk about that 1 second. 'Cause a lot of people don't know. I mean, that's a pretty basic. That's just a little bit of basic information about income and debt and expenses.
We allow them to do it right online. I have a program where they can go online. It's 8 minutes. We take a look at their debts, their credit score, their assets, make sure that there's enough money set aside every month to pay their bills and a house. And then we go from there. 10 minutes and then they know if they can buy or not.
And so they receive a letter. Now they go out with their realtor or they go out and start looking for a home. And they found a home they want. And what happens? What's the process for a first-time home
once
buyer?
we get them approved, they find an agent, they make an offer. Once the offer is accepted, they come back to me and then we start plugging in the numbers and saying, this is what your payment's going to be. Here's 10 programs. Which program do we like best? Is it the little down payment? Is it the lower rate? And we pick which works for them. Once they give me their accepted offer, we lock the loan in and we start collecting their documents.
And that's the process where you start to get into their metaphorical underwear drawer and you're looking at things deeper. Sometimes people get offended, but what are the type of things that people are looking for?
It is simple now. If you, the 4 things that we're going to ask for are your W-2s for the last 2 years. We're going to ask for 30 days of pay stubs, 60 days of bank statements, driver's license, social security card. That's it.
Wow.
Now, obviously, there's always other things we'll need. If you've been divorced, you're going to need a divorce decree. If you're paying child support, you're going to need alimony. If you're a veteran and you're getting disability or you're retired, we're going to need the pension statements. But It is pretty simple.
And if a person owns their own business, what is it? What's involved in?
Well, if you own your own business and you've owned it for more than 5 years, we require 1-year tax returns. And we have to get them reviewed. If it's less than 5 years, it's 2 years tax returns.
Wow. So it's still fairly simple.
It's fairly simple. And then we got to make sure that you don't write off everything. But if you don't, it's just as easy.
Yeah, let's talk about that a second, because a lot of young business owners thinks that that's the way to go. Well, I can save some money on my taxes by just paying everything through the company, but that's really not the way to go.
Have a nice little rule. If you don't pay Uncle Sam, you're probably not going to get a mortgage. That's the rule of thumb. But there are programs out there where we will actually take a look at the bank deposits as opposed to tax returns. So if they write off all their income on tax returns, but I can show bank deposits every month for 12 months that equal enough to qualify, we will use that program.
Wow. It's really come a long way for independent business owners. That's great. So first-time home buyers can expect, I know that this depends on how fast they get documents back to you, but talk about a time frame of what a
closing loans, 25 days.
Wow.
25 days, 30 days, but you are correct. I'm going to give them a list of docs they need.
If they take 2 weeks to get them back, then...
Not too many people take 2 weeks. Once they find a house, they want to get in it.
Yeah.
So they're usually pretty quick about it.
So, again, let's stay on this theme of helping a first-time home buyer. We're gonna provide you some documents, find out what we qualify for. We're gonna find a home. We're gonna come back and find out the best program for them. You're gonna request some information from them. They provide that information. 25, 30 days later, they're ready to go to a closing.
Yep.
And so, how does the money flow? Because a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, what will happen is we'll get them approved. We'll balance with the title company. The title company will then give us a figure. They'll say $10,000. The customer then will wire the $10,000 to the title company, and we will fund the loan. The funding will be there after all the docs are signed, and then the title company will disperse all their bills that they have to pay, and then the loan mortgage is done.
So they're taking their money for the title, they're paying their realtors, any kind of the PMI insurance or things like
Everything that's entitled into a mortgage, they're going to pay their part of it, and then they walk out of the house, they walk out of the building owning a home.
They've got a key to the home, they go in there, they move their stuff in, and their first payment is going to be when?
It's usually 2 months after they close.
Yeah.
So if they close, for example, July 15th, their first house payment will be September.
I know you're not a CPA, but talk about some of the advantages of owning a home from your perspective.
Well, there's a couple things you get to write off. If I'm not mistaken, you get to write off your interest paid. You get to write off your taxes. And, a lot of people will then, once they buy a home, will do an equity line of credit after they buy so that they can pay off all their debts. But usually I tell them if they got questions regarding a tax break that it's real important that they get in touch with their accountant.
Yeah. So what other type of loans do you guys offer? Let's move away from the first-time home buyer.
We offer every loan except for land. Land is the only loan we're not doing. One of the best programs that we have are VA loans. I have a son in the Army right now up in Fort Drum, New York, so I'm pretty partial to the veterans.
Yeah.
And our way as a company of saying thank you to a veteran for your services, we do them for free. We charge a veteran no lender fees at all on a mortgage.
Wow.
And a lot of things you'll see is a lot of people will say, well, hey, we're not going to charge you any fees, we're going to bump your rate. We don't bump the rate. We just don't charge any fees.
That's awesome.
And I enjoy doing them loans.
That's awesome. And so a veteran can expect what exactly because of their service?
Well, a veteran gets the ability to buy a house with no down payment. They can use this program as many times as they want. With no lender fees, what we usually do is we'll ask the sellers for a little help on closing costs. And our goal is to get a veteran in with no money out of his pocket.
That's fantastic.
We don't want them to stress. We don't want them to need anything. Because there's a lot of times where a veteran will be buying a house, but he's buying it for his wife and child when he's overseas.
Yeah.
And we want them to enjoy the process.
Yeah. So do they sort of enjoy the same type of rates, or they're different?
Their VA rates right now are lower.
Lower.
They are lower on conventional rates, so they're getting the best of both worlds. The one thing on a VA loan is that there is a funding fee. Each time the veteran uses the program, they have to pay a funding fee. Now, VA does allow them to finance that. But if the veteran has a 20% disability or more, I think it's 10, I apologize, they no longer have to pay that funding fee.
And a funding fee will be a percent of the purchase.
Percent of the purchase price. It's sort of VA's way of making it available for the next veteran.
Gotcha. Awesome. And then what sets Guaranteed Rate Affinity apart from other mortgage companies?
Well,
at the end of the day, there's a lot of mortgage companies out there.
There's a lot of them. One of the biggest things you'll see with us is that as a company, our rates are very low. We keep our rates low because of the size of our company. But the neatest thing is that we don't charge a lot of fees. Our fees on a mortgage are $1,290. There's no points, no origination, no processing, none of that
Regardless
stuff.
of the price.
Regardless of the price. If you're buying a house for $50,000, it's $1,290. If you're buying a house for $1 million, it's $1,290.
Wow.
We don't veer off the path, and we don't gouge people.
That's interesting. It's a different kind of concept.
Mm-hmm.
What? So besides that, talk to me about the service that a person can expect.
Well, we have a team set up, and what I do is I take the application, I make sure it's all correctly, I hand it off to my processor. She gets the loan all collects all the docs, then sends it to underwriting, which is supposed to be done in 3 days. Underwriting will send it back, give us a conditional approval, and then my end team collects what docs need left, and that's it. It's that simple.
Wow. So it really has changed, and the internet's changed your business also.
Internet changed my business. 99% of my applications are done online.
And were you in the business back before email, and we were couriering documents and.
I was in the business when we got our first fax.
Yeah.
And we thought it was the neatest thing since sliced bread. I remember the little pager.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's changed a lot. People are busy. They've got places to go, things to do. They've got their kids. So they can log on to our website or my website. I send them the link, and they can do an application at 1 a.m. Takes them 8 minutes, and print out their own pre-approval letter if it all works out.
Oh wow, yeah. It's amazing how the internet's changed things. I laugh now when I see forms with a fax number and a line to put the fax number. Like, who has a fax machine anymore?
I remember putting the carbon paper in, and it's just changed.
Yeah,
it's changed a lot.
So you've been in Network in Action about 10 months. Tell me about your experience there.
You know what? I'm a huge Network in Action fan. I'm busy. I have a lot of things going on. So previously, the weekly thing just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Network in Action came across my plate, and I remember the first thing I did was I read the book. And what I remember out of the book the most is the young lady who was sick.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to know how she did, and I know now. But
Yeah.
but we have a team up in the Conroe area that are amazing. We meet once a month. We all believe in what each other's doing, and we're all trying to get each other to their goal.
Yeah.
And very blessed to be part of it.
That's awesome, and you got a great leader out there. My job's really easy if I find somebody with a big heart like Billy. And it's funny about rural communities, and Conroe's still somewhat rural. It's not Houston. It takes a little longer, but I think the depth of people's commitment and they know they're going to be seeing each other around town, and so they're committed really to give back and help each other. You mentioned one other thing before we got started about your ranking on the scoreboard, and you actually had a goal. So for the listening audience, one of the things we do is instead of wasting time at a meeting, having people stand up and say whether they've been active or not, we just measure all that on a scoreboard. Everybody gets points for their activity. So you're the first person I heard when you joined Network in Action, you set yourself a goal of being a certain place on the scoreboard.
I have been goal-oriented my entire life. And at the end of the year, I probably spend 2 months getting my goals where I need to be, breaking them down almost to a day. And my goal for the first year with Network in Action was 5,000 pavement points. And we achieved it. We're at 5,100, so I've got 2 more months to be there a year, so now we're going to see if we can't get to maybe 55.
That's awesome. And so those payment points come to people for different activities, visiting with people one-to-one, attending meetings, bringing guests to meetings, and things like that. Well, we're equally as blessed to have you in the group. I'm super excited that you went to the trouble to drive down today, and I appreciate it so much.
Enjoyed the drive.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.